Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Seraphon playing A Link to the Past and trying to do things a little out of order to get some unusual messages that you wouldn't normally see. Last time we beat Aghanim, got into the Dark World, and I said I was going to go do Kiki next, but I then remembered this is a good time to come up here, turning the mushroom to the catfish. So first of all, we'll go into the Light World here. Turn in the mushroom. Now the thing about the mushroom turn is that the powder will appear in the hut as soon as you leave the screen on the overworld and go to a different one. The Dark World counts as a different screen. So if you go through a mirror portal there, place it so that you bonk off the bush and warp back immediately, there's your powder right away. That's something I often see racers do. It's like a little speed trick. Anyway, on to Catfish and then Zora. Alright, if you've played the game, you know that you toss the thing in there, and it makes the catfish come out. Catfish in Japanese folklore cause earthquakes, so it makes sense that the catfish gives you the Quake Medallion, which causes earthquakes. What you may not have cried is, after you've already gotten that, if you come back and throw something else in, the catfish emerges again, but the catfish is not happy with you. Take this instead, pest, and he throws a bomb at you. Just when you're in the area for catfish, that's a good time to come in and talk to the Zoras. So let's take dialogue options we normally wouldn't. If you say you just dropped by, great, whenever you want to see my fishy face, you are welcome here. And that's just a waste of time. So you head off a little bit, come back. We want the flippers. Problem is, you may notice I don't have 500 rupees. So if you say quit after all, or if you try to pay 500 when you don't have that, wait back this way when you have more rupees. So again, a waste of time. Luckily, there are a number of monsters nearby in the Dark World that are prone to dropping a lot of money, so it's pretty easy to farm up a little more. And there's the flippers. This, incidentally, is a great time to come over and get the bottle from under the bridge. Now, we're heading towards the Palace of Darkness, but I am once again short on money. Kiki the monkey loves rupees. You need 10 rupees to give to Kiki. If you don't have 10 rupees, Kiki gets upset and storms off. Same thing if you say no. But he just comes right back. So let's give him the money. Now he follows you around. Once again, I have no money. You need to give him more money to actually open the palace. So what happens if you don't have that? Same thing as if you say no again. Humph, do it yourself then. And the monkey storms off, and you need to pay him again. Now you may know that Kiki stops following you if you get hit, but if you try to leave the area, he also stops following you. And you have to go bribe him again. One more uncommon message is that if Kiki is following you, even if you haven't given him money yet, if you try to mirror to the light world, what are you doing? I don't want to go there. Kiki stops following you, and the mirror works, but if you've given him money, again, you need to repay him. A bit of money farming later, and we can pay off the greedy little thing and get into the Palace of Darkness. Click. And here, in the big chest of the Palace of Darkness, is the magic hammer, which is exactly what we were looking for. Now that we have this, we can leave here and go all sorts of other places. Of course, it makes sense to finish a dungeon while you're here, but you don't need to. The Flute or Ocarina is another quest chain that you can cut short. What you're supposed to do is, after greeting to this guy, head into the light world, dig it up, come back, play it for him. Then he sends you off to play it for the old man in the tavern, and that is when you finally get the clue that you can play it for the weathercock, which lets you activate that and let you fly around the light world. But you don't need to do any of that immediate stuff, you can just go straight to the weather vane and play it right away. Oh, by the way though, let's do another what happens if you can't pay. 80 rupees to play the game. I see that I give up, save some rupees, and come back. Similarly, I'm pretty sure you need more than 23 rupees to play the era game, but no, it's only 20. But yeah, if you say no, you can turn yourself right around and leave the same way you came in. And if you don't have the rupees, same thing. I'm noticing a pattern here. And come to think about it, what about this guy? I never did buy the bottle from him because I didn't have the money earlier, and so you're broke, eh? It might still be here. But yeah, without doing any of the intermediate steps, you just bring the flute here and play it, and you get the extended version of the flute theme. And the weather vane explodes, the properly known as duck pops out. And from this point on, you can play the flute to have him pick you up and fly all over the world. Anyway, with that hammer and the gloves, you can use this portal by the village to go straight into the dark world over here, where we have yet another not enough money situation, the chess game. 30 rupees to play. At least he's fairly polite. Anyway, because I never bothered to pick up a boomerang earlier, there's a magical boomerang here. You get the usual message about throwing it further and faster than your old one, even though you don't have an old one. And continuing with going out of sequence, we'll come into Thieves Town next instead of going to Swamp or even Skull Woods. And we do that, of course, for the Titansmiths. Now I did bother to pick up the fake maiden. She tells you to take her outside. If you actually try doing that, though, you get a please don't go this way. And if you actually do leave, obviously, she doesn't follow you. Now with the mitts, we can pick up the blacksmith, who is currently a frog. What you might not know is that if you try going to certain areas with the frog or someone else following you, you can't enter. With something following you. That looks like a bit of a translation gaffe. On the other hand, they can't just say someone and have it be a generic message, because you can also have things like the purple chest following you. Anyway, you bring the smith back to the smith's partner, they are happy, and they offer to temper your sword. Thing is, money is a problem again. Asking to temper your sword, 10 rupees. Are you sure? Drop by again anytime you want to? Yeah, that's the same message if you say no again, because if you do need those 10 rupees. It's a token price, but it's still a price. Oh, as long as we're flat broke, how about you try a few no things if you don't have enough money? Any shop, if you try to buy something you don't have the money for, you get a simple message that says you don't have enough rupees. Makes sense. One that's easier to overlook, though, is that fortune tellers do charge you for their services, so if you don't have enough money to pay them, you get this message that, well, my condition's not very good today, but come back again. And, of course, there's the so-called Pond of Happiness, where you can throw rupees in, and if you throw in enough, you can increase your bomb or arrow capacity. But if you don't have the money, you get this strange, don't do it message. That is the same message as you get if you decline to throw money in, as is often the case in this game. But, curiously enough, despite this seeming like complete gibberish, this is actually an accurate translation, more accurate than what the option is. The option on the menu for not tossing rupees in Japanese is simply Yamete Oku, which is pretty much don't do it, as a simple statement. The response, if you don't do it, is yamete oke, which is don't do it in command form, which, there you have it. I'm not exactly sure why it's phrased that way, but that is how it's phrased. There are also a number of Dark World NPCs that want you to give them money for information, and typically they'll say something like this: I'm not interested in talking to people who don't have rupees. Again, you get the same message if you just decline. Anyway, with our money problems taken care of, we can come here and actually get our sword tempered. They do have to keep it for a while, which means you have no sword. Fortunately, just like the mushroom and magic powder, all you have to do is leave the screen and come back. So I can go into the magic portal and warp back. I can go off the screen here and come back. Either way works. Just as long as you do an overworld transition. And there you go. Sword. Yep, as I mentioned earlier, this message makes a lot more sense when it's something like the chest or a bomb following you, and not a person. Having money problems taken care of also lets me come back over here and... Oh wait, I can't do the digging game. It's not a convenient time for me now. What does this mean and why does it come up? Well, like not being able to go inside certain things when you have a follower, you also can't do the digging game while you have a follower. Technically I don't have a follower, but I also do, because once you pick up the chest, you can leave it behind by pressing A at any time, and as long as you stay in the Dark World, it will stay where you left it. Similarly, if you mirror back to the Light World and leave it behind, it will stay there until you leave. And this leads us into a little oddity. So you're in sort of an in-between state where the game remembers that chest is following you, but it's not actually with you. One oddity that you can do with this is if you come over here to where the middle-aged man who used to be a thief is, mirror into the Light World, the chest, you'll notice, is left behind in the Dark World, but because the game considers the chest to be following you, he loads in with his script that reacts to the chest even though the chest is not here. You get this message, will you do this, please promise? But what happens if you say tell it to everyone? If that's the way you want that, I hope you drag the chest around forever. But I'm right on top of him, we go right back into the dialogue, promise not to tell, and there's the fourth bottle. Before moving on, two more interesting things you can do with the bottle merchant you may not have known about. If you drain the lake south of Link's house, you can find some fish if you carry one all the way here. They say eating fish makes you smart. You have to give me this fish for this stuff, okay? And he tells us out 21 rupees, full magic, 8 bombs, and 10 arrows for that effort. Also, with the food and boots making it convenient, I stopped by to pick up the ice rod, and in the cave next to that, bashing into the statue in the fairy pond, pops out a special bee that if you catch it, you can bring it here, release it near this guy, it will fly over to him. I've never seen such a rare bug, I'll buy it for 100 rupees. And just like that, 100 rupees. Now you do want to be further to the left and above him, because the bee can also home in on the weather vane here. I'm not sure if it does after it's been activated or not, but either way, to be on the safe side, you want that off the screen and make sure the merchant is the closest thing to you. Before moving on, I also wanted to pick up the fire rod from Skull Woods, but that's all we'll be doing here for the moment. We're heading into Misery Mire instead, to pick up the Cane of Samaria. And while we're at it, bird toss. I don't have the hook shot, but you don't actually need it. You can just walk into that and cross Lightway. A bit of hijinks later, and here's the cane. With a very unhelpful message. And at this point, we have everything we need to head on into Turtle Rock, which, as I mentioned earlier, is planned to be the first crystal I get. So, without further ado, put on the Quake Medallion, open up the entrance, and we will head inside. As I've explained in a previous video, the game generally does not care what order you get things in, so you can go straight from your basic shield to the mirror shield without ever getting the intermediate one. And with Trinex coming up and no crystals collected and we haven't even set foot in some dungeons, I think that's a good time to stop this episode. Next time we will continue with basically a boss rush in reverse order with things pretty much getting easier than usual. So we'll continue that next time and I hope to see you then.